Hello, Brave Nation. I am excited to talk to you today about a great event we have coming up here. This is our big yearly event, and we're calling it Hope Forward. Brave Nation 2022 Hope Forward. And I'm really excited this year because we are going to be focusing on the government realm. And as you can see here, I have an amazing woman from Alaska government. She is Senator Shelley Hughes. She is the majority leader, right, of the Alaska Senate. And she is going to be one of our speakers. Now, I didn't choose her because she's, the majority leader or anything like that. I chose her because she really has a Christian kingdom mindset around government, and she brings in the right way. She brings her faith into what she does, and she really knows how to cultivate a kingdom perspective in what she does. So what is, I guess, let me ask you, what is a kingdom culture, and how do you integrate it into government? Just a little snippet of an answer there.
Well, couple things is that looking at the servant's heart, and putting others above yourself, and sometimes that means some long hours and sacrifice, and really appreciate family and those who support those that step in, because that sacrifice does take support, and it's a sacrifice for everyone. And also just looking at operating and relating with other lawmakers and the executive branch and the people, how a person relates. I think a kingdom mindset impacts that. And then thirdly, the policy itself. Is this contradict Judeo-Christian values, or does it enhance them? And so I guess those are the three ways.
Yeah.
Say.
And we're talking a lot about hope, hope in this realm, and sometimes that can be hard to be in the midst of there's a lot of turmoil in politics and in government, and how do you maintain that hope? Because we know that we're called to hope in Christ, but how do we maintain that in such a volatile environment?
Well, I think by having this conference,
Yeah,
and people registering and coming, because actually my hope right now is in the Lord first and foremost, but it's also in people who love the Lord stepping up and recognizing part of their call is to be engaged, and to, it might be to a relatively small extent to a greater extent than they realize. And part of what I think your listeners and your attendees will hear is that we are just ordinary people. We weren't from birth thinking that we were going to be some great elected official. It really was something in our life where we felt called, and God was opening doors, and we weren't necessarily fully prepared, with all that you might, with a worldly mindset, think, oh, I must do this, but it is an act of faith. And so I think there are a lot of people out there that, to whatever degree that they can step up, they can help that hope be realized in this realm. And there's not anyone, I don't care if a person has no interest in government, in politics, if there were ever a time to step up and learn a little bit and realize it's not that big of a woolly burger, we can all get engaged and help steer things in the right direction for our country and for our state.
Yeah, it seems like God is stirring more and more people that have, maybe been in the church realm. Like, I was a church planter, I was a pastor, and that was really super comfortable for me. And I was uncomfortable being shoved into this other realm. And I thought, but I found so much favor there, and I found so much blessing. And I was like, I can't ignore this. I can't ignore what the doors that God is opening, even if it feels uncomfortable to me, and even if I feel unqualified and all this other stuff. And I realized when I got into it that there was just a dearth of leadership. Like, there were so many places that we needed leaders to step up that just, it was vacant. And either there were people that were in there that were just in it for themselves, or there was just nobody there leading. And so I thought, wow, like the harvest is ripe here. There is space here. And I feel like God is waking up a lot of us for the very first time, stay-at-home moms, people who just didn't really even pay attention, to go, hey, you know what, this is a stewardship issue, like God has given us in our government, everyone has a voice, and that means everyone has a responsibility. So, it is a new awakening, I think, right now, that we're realizing it's like, we don't want things to get really bad before we wake up, but sometimes that has to happen, right?
Yes, sometimes, and it feels like that a little bit right now. That's why I'm excited to participate in this annual conference, because I do think it is a time for people to wake up. There is a cultural war that is happening, and they're going after our children. And you mentioned maybe not feeling unqualified and coming from different backgrounds. That's what I love. There are opportunities, and somebody who's not a spring chicken, nor is Mayor Edna DeVries, we are looking for young people to step up and middle-aged people to step up, because there is a lack of good leadership to pass the baton, and there's going to be the time where we need those people to be ready. And it's great. I personally come from kind of a broad spectrum background, so a little bit of everything from being a stay-at-home mom, a little bit of business, a little bit of the arts and communication and things like that. But we need people, maybe somebody who's really strong in business. There's a place for that wisdom in the legislature and in elected office, whether it, whatever realm it is. Even school board members, somebody with a business background understands what employers need in students. So all of these, you don't actually want a government background. You want to bring other things to the table. And it is a leap of faith, but I tell you, God will be there. And if he is directing you that way, and it might be as a support role, I tell you, we are desperate for good, solid staff, aides. It's hard to get someone to pack up for a few months and go to Juneau. So that is a big need. So if you're not somebody who wants to be out front in the limelight, but you want to have impact, and God's gifted you, those are areas too where we need people to come in with background knowledge on many subjects.
Yeah. And one of the things we really, when I first talked to you about this, and you pointed out, which I was so glad, was that we're here to connect with each other. I mean, those kingdom connections, I mean, when you have a culture that you're building with other kingdom people, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And when there's that kind of that tipping point of culture, it can change all of what happens in government. And so I feel like there are going to be some really great connections that happen at this event, especially. So let me explain it. On Friday night, it's going to be like a service. So it's open to everybody. We're not going to have a registration fee for that, but I would like you to get signed up we are doing registration for the Saturday. And that's when all of the legislators are going to be speaking. On Friday, I'll just be stirring you up in hope. And we're going to be praying for people who feel called into government. And some are going to be there who are already running and already have positions, and we can pray over, and just, they can feel that support of the community. And then on that Saturday, it's just going to be kind of more of a seminar style. And we're going to have all these amazing ladies come and speak. Mayor DeVries, Representative Vance, and Shelley Hughes. And they're going to be speaking on courage and wisdom and connecting with your tribe. And so, Shelley, about wisdom, has God really been stirring this up in you lately? Like what's he been speaking to you about wisdom? If you can give us a little bit of a teaser.
Well, I think that the way you've set the agenda with courage and then wisdom is fascinating, because that's actually been my journey. Is for several years, it was all about courage and boldness, and a lot of prayer over me to be bold. And And now, and during the whole time, I was definitely seeking wisdom in everything that I do, but that's really highlighted. So it's not that I've got the boldness and the courage thing down pat, but I've definitely grown in that area. And now it's growing in the area of wisdom, and just having his presence and looking at things, because sometimes there are things that you cannot see on the surface. And then your third aspect, the connecting, so often the wisdom comes from those that you're connected with. And it's important to be connected with people of integrity that you can trust, because as a lawmaker, I certainly cannot be the expert on every industry and every area of policy. So I need to be able to know who people that can be resources. So those connections become really important. And yeah, so we'll save some of the
Bacon
rest
nuggets for
when we
later.
meet together. But I will tell you that the what you've set up as far as courage, wisdom, and connecting is really what it's about. And whether you're an engaged community member, those three things are very important too. And I know I went on the radio not too long ago, and we talk about needing bold leaders that do the right thing. But I tell you, we also need bold Alaskans. We need bold residents who are willing to step up and talk, because right now, with some of the things trending, folks hold back. They won't say anything to their family or coworker or neighbor, but it's actually time to, in a good spirit, have these conversations so that it doesn't end up in, a terrible argument, but that we're able to impart wisdom to our friends and our neighbors, because this is such a pivotal time. There are, well, we could get into what's happening in America and the culture wars, but that's another whole topic. But I don't know who's not concerned at how many things are all about going after our children and breaking down the family unit. And we have to stand up to that. And it cannot just be leaders alone. It has to be Alaskans in general. We all need to say, no, this is the direction we want to go. So I'm excited to have folks come and realize that they can do this. It's not some, you don't have to have some, we've been seeing all the things with the Queen of England and her passing away, and well, she was part of that family. Well, I tell you, you're called, and we're all called and part of that family, and we can step up as royalty just like that and take our rightful place, and we need to.
Yeah. I see that, the courage is like the heart part of it, I think. And sometimes we need to come to grips with, like, God is calling us, and we need to be willing to lay down anything for that, and just give it all. But then the wisdom is like the head part of it. And we do need to be smart about how we act. And I think you can have courage without that wisdom part. And I've operated in my life sometimes with kind of, you think of it as like blind faith, but it's really just stupidity. And so we do need that wisdom piece that we have to pursue. And God says he'll give wisdom to us if we ask, right? And then we also need people around us. I mean, we're going to find our purpose through people. And so, I think this is going to do all at once. And I really feel like he's going to accelerate us. A lot of us are like, I mean, just a few years ago, I was like, I want to do something, but how do I connect with anybody? I don't know I don't even know who to connect with. And God has just lined it up, person after person, connections. And it's like, okay, God, I know you're in this because you have put those stepping stones in place. And so I feel like he's going to do that for a lot more people, and he's going to accelerate you and really push you beyond the boundaries of what you thought you would be.
I have a personal testimony, and when God is in something, he will propel you forward and make up for a lot of lost time. And I remember, I made a very conscious choice, my husband and I did, that I would stay at home with my kids, and it was a financial sacrifice. And sometimes I looked around, and I know some women aren't in that situation. So this is by no means pointing fingers or condemning anyone, because we all have unique situations. But in doing that, sometimes I have to confess, I was sometimes jealous because I was seeing women that were of my same age just climbing professionally and thinking, woo, I'm way, way, way back here. I tell you, but that faithfulness to do, kind of follow the path that God had designed uniquely for me, when I got to the point where I was ready to step up, I didn't have to climb every little step. He just kind of shot me up and I caught up with folks. And I tell young women today, there's nothing as rewarding professionally. There's nothing I can do as a senator that is as rewarding as that time and that investment in my children. So I'm really grateful for that time. It was sometimes hard at the time, but when God calls you into something, he will propel you forward to where you need to be. And yet, not that there might be some teaching and trials and tribulations along the way. There definitely will be in a time of perhaps laying things down and just letting the Lord work it out instead of trying to take matters into your own hands. I went through all that as well, but I tell you, he will launch you if you step and say, I'm here, send me.
Yeah. Amen. Well, let me just recap. We're gonna do this on the 30th of September at 7 p.m. That's going to be the evening service. And then on October 1st is going to be that seminar in the morning at 10 a.m. So you can go ahead and go to leighsloan.com, LEIGHSLOAN.com, and you can get registered there because we do have an early bird special up for you if you're listening to this within the time frame. I think the 26th is the deadline for that. So it's not a huge cost, and I hope you can come. It's going to be well worth it, and you're going to be able to meet some amazing people, if nothing else. And we have food too on the Saturday, so come on out, and I would love to see you there. Thanks so much, Shelley, for coming on.
Thank you. I look forward to connecting with all those that show up. So great.
All right, thanks.